Hare Krishna. I'd like to welcome all the educators for Viplavah 2020, the second annual symposium by Ministry of Education, which is meant to gather the educators around the world and to give all of us an opportunity to share different topics of education. It's a privilege to have so many of you here, and as the day progresses, I'm sure the few chairs that are left will also be filled up. I'm thankful to all the devotees who have actually volunteered to come forward and share their wisdom with us during the coming few days. And in order to start the conference, start the symposium, I'd like to invite His Grace Shesha Prabhu, who's a GBC member and our Minister for Education as well as Justice. So His Grace Shesha Prabhu, if you can please come and start the conference and symposium for us.
Thank you, Tapa Mishra Prabhu. And let me add my welcome and thanks to all of you who have come to the second annual International Education Symposium. We're a tradition now, as this is the second year, and so mark it on your calendars every year to spend a couple of days with us, giving your experiences in education and giving us some insight into the world of education in ISKCON. My stay here in Vrindavan this year has been particularly inspiring, and that's based on a couple of different factors. One, seeing some old friends for the first time in many years. Two, seeing all the educational opportunities that are manifest in different education programs around the world, as well as at events like the ISKCON Leadership Sangha that we just had the experience of for the last week or so. So I'd like to share with you some of the inspiration I have experienced being here this week, and I want to do it by using a little mind game. Nothing, mind controlling, no brainwashing here, nothing like that. But a mind game. I'm sure you've all experienced or done this before, but let's try it. If I tell you, don't think of oranges, what do you think of? Oranges, yes. Exactly what you're told not to think of, because your mind focuses a little bit on oranges, you see oranges. Now, if you have a desire, say you have a desire for owning a red sports car. When you're driving down the road, what are you going to see? All kinds of red sports cars you're going to see. This is how the mind works, and actually it can help us or it can be a detriment to us. What we focus on, we achieve. And so we're here to coalesce the focus. It may be out of focus right now, but what we're trying to do in this conference is make it focused. Make it focus all the experiences, educational experiences, opportunities, and needs that you may have observed while you're here in Sri Mayapur. I've had that experience, and I want to share some of them with you to let you know how I'm seeing educational opportunity everywhere. In our GBC meeting, one of the first topics we talked about was hermeneutics, or the philosophy of how to understand Srila Prabhupada, how to understand his word. What are the parameters for understanding and going deeper into what he's trying to give us? So when I saw that presentation, I said, there it is. Education right on top of the agenda. So that was one. A little later on, we had a presentation on reading Srila Prabhupada's books. Now, it seems obvious that this is education, yes, but how did this program come before the GBC? What happened to bring it there? What was the backstory? Well, we had devotees, Srivas Prabhu from West Africa particularly, who took that opportunity that was mentioned either at an ILS or an SGS, at the Sannyasis, what is it? Sannyasis, Guru, and GBC Sangha. At that Sangha a couple of years ago, it was mentioned that devotees don't seem to be reading Srila Prabhupada's books that much. And so Srivas, and I think in conjunction with Tapan Mishra, who we owe a lot of thanks for putting this whole thing together, they thought, well, how can we address that? This is an opportunity to bring education to the forefront in the lives of the devotees. And so after working for a couple of years, they made a very nice presentation how the GBCs particularly can build the momentum for reading Srila Prabhupada's books. So opportunities are everywhere. The BI did a presentation at the ISKCON Leadership Sangha. And I was surprised when I was sitting in there. They talked about a program they're developing for young children. Bhaktivedanta Institute, scientists, very educated people, adults, what are they doing in the field of children's education? But they saw an opportunity. They saw that young children, if you teach them the right arguments when they're young, they'll be able to be strong in those arguments when they grow later, encounter those of a scientific bent of mind. So what's the right philosophy? What's the right understanding of what science is actually saying? They plan to have camps for kids where they expose them to these ideas. Another opportunity, fresh idea. The Mayapur master plan was presented to the GBC. What would the master plan be without education? Isn't it Pancharatna, Prabhu? So the master plan allocates land and areas for the development of the Mayapur city, and they're thinking, yes, education, a college, a university has to be part of the plan. And so they're working that into their plans that they presented to the GBC. All these things and many more become clear to our vision when we have a focus. If we're thinking education, opportunity, needs to be met, then the mind works in such a way that it'll manifest those things and we'll be able to see them. Here's an opportunity. Let me develop something in that regard. Now this is not an individual experience, it's a shared experience. And so this conference, as I mentioned before, is sort of a culmination, an opportunity to bring to the fore all the different experiences that you've had as individuals and share them with one another. Because that's another way of developing the ideas and programs, educational programs. Sharing them among yourself, talking during the break at lunch, and giving some quality listening to the presenters we have. That's the real opportunity of education. Education is meant to give us an opportunity to fulfill our human potential. And we know as devotees of the Lord, what's the best way, what's the most complete fulfillment of the human potential? What is it? No one knows. Being a devotee of Krishna, surrendering to Krishna, loving Krishna. And so that can be done in many different ways, and we're depending upon educators such as yourselves from around the world to try to see these opportunities, teach these opportunities, and enable all those dependent upon you to reach their full human potential. The Ministry of Education is very happy to have been involved with the creation of this symposium. As I said, we're a tradition now. We're into the second year. I think it's a good time, isn't it, Tapan Mishra Prabhu, to, after the GBC does their program, SGGS, SSGS, or whatever it is, and ILS, to come in with an education seminar to give all the educators a chance to come together and convene. So, unfortunately, I have to run to the GBC meeting this morning. I hope to be back later in the day to share more time with all of you. But thank you very much for coming. One thing that I forgot when I went through my list of opportunities, the educational opportunities that have appeared to me since I've been here, is that I did visit the booth of Prana Prabhu and Krishnendu Prabhu. They have an online education program for young children. Again, a unique opportunity that they've developed. So talk to them and see if you can collaborate together. So again, thank you for coming, and I hope to see you later in the day. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Shesha Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So we are going to now start inviting speakers to come here and address the attendees. I'd like to share with you that every talk is being recorded, and our intention is that every fortnight these talks are going to be released by the ministry. In addition, this has also been broadcasted on Mayapur TV. Now, in order to make sure that every speaker or your next speaker, as a courtesy to them, we'll request every speaker to please keep the time. I'm going to assist in that service by highlighting to every speaker when they have 5 minutes left, so that it gives you an opportunity to compose and sort of bring your presentation to a closure. I will also give you a 5-minute sort of a sign, and I will give you a 2-minute sort of a sign. So I'll be sitting here, and 5 minutes and 2-minute sign is what I'll flash. Please do keep to the time. And the next speaker that I'd like to invite is His Holiness Bhaktivigyan Goswami Maharaj, who's amongst us. And His Holiness Bhaktivigyan Goswami Maharaj is going to talk about crisis on the path of education. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. I'm very happy to be with you and to share some of the thoughts which I have on this topic. I've been doing some educational programs, conducting educational programs for many, many years. The first Bhakti Shastri which I did 22 years back. And I did encounter quite a few problems on this path of trying to educate the devotees, and one of them, perhaps the most painful one, is that the transformation of the heart does not take place. Unfortunately, the modern concept of transmission of information as being the education is quite prevalent even in ISKCON. Whereas the real purpose of spiritual education is the transformation of the heart. And I was thinking about the reasons for this, and of course there are various reasons, both connected with the students and the teachers, but one of the reasons which I want to share with you is that, in my humble opinion, the education in ISKCON is too freely available. And that's a problem. Even in the secular world, before getting the education, people have to pass some exams to prove their qualification for this particular type of education. Whereas in ISKCON, anyone can get any kind of education.